Okay, so what we have here is cerulean blue, cadmium yellow light, white, titanium white, and ultramarine violet. So I'm going to take my brush, pick up some cerulean blue, add yellow. It doesn't look that great without white. It looks funny, too strong. More yellow, I would say, more blue, I'm sorry, more blue than yellow. So it's like a sea foam, beautiful blue. Now I'm going to add white, and this is where you see the color. This is where I can adjust the color when I add white, because I can see it. I'm pushing in some more blue in here, and I don't want it to be too light at first. I'm going to add ultramarine violet in it. That will darken it, but it doesn't make it muddy, because these colors are kind of soft colors, meaning that they're not brown or red, or, you know, they're like colors that you can make them darker using purple instead of any other color, instead of black or any other color. Oh, Estero. Okay. Let's do that. This is the first layer. So what I'm going to do, I need that dark, because if you look at the, if you look at that reference, you'll see that this towel is in a shaded area. So I'm adding ultramarine violet. Okay, let's do that. Even if I add just ultramarine violet over this, that's okay. This is awesome. This is going to be a really good base for the highlights. Okay, so I'm going to have a look, kind of glance at my reference and see how the fabric is moving. Okay, so you have part of it on an angle. We don't have to follow exactly what's happening in there, but just a bit, because there's a nice fold in there, strong fold that's interesting. Okay. I'm trying to follow the movement of the folds, even for the first layer, just a bit. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, just a bit. So this part is, I can see that the fabric is going down this way, straight down. And then we have a strong fold right here. Of course, we're going to simplify what we're seeing. And then the fabric is folded in that way. And then it turns on an angle. So even if I'm using the first layer, if I'm putting the first layer, I put it in the same direction of the fabric. So you don't want to put your fabric, your first layer in you know, in any direction other than what you see, because you can see, it helps when you start highlighting, having the fabric move in the right place, right here. Okay, that's good for the first layer. Now while I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm going to take Payne's Gray. A small round brush. Cerulean blue. Wipe my brush. Okay. And I am going to put fabric on this chair. So this chair has a stretch fabric, and it's stripes, and I can see that part of that little blue she's sitting on, the fabric she's sitting on is, part of it is white, and you could see a bit of blue in there. Now I'm going to put blue all over. I'm going to try see if I can get away with it, not using a white stripe, because that's a small area and I really don't want to go into that detail. The same back here. Okay. Tiny little bikini.
Mhm.
This is ultramarine violet. I'm just there's a strong shadow over here.
For chair and head, which color we have used?
For the chair?
Yes.
Here?
Yeah, big chair. Yeah.
Yellow ochre and ultramarine violet for the first layer.
Okay.
And then it's yellow ochre and white for the second layer to highlight it.
Yeah,
and
they both have yellow ochre. Yeah.
Yeah. And for the strong highlights that you see here,
Yeah.
the lines, these are yellow ochre with white.
Okay.
This needs to be darker. So I'm just going to try to see if I can darken with ultramarine violet only without using skin tone, and see if I can, you know, without getting the burnt umber out. I'm going to be glazing all this later on. So, but even with glazing is not going to give me that strong dark color. And you'll see once we start putting highlights on the towel, it's going to make a big difference.
That's the material of the chair right now that you're doing, Leah?
That's actually her skin. Her skin.
Okay.
There is a strong line in there, like a dark line where she's sitting. Her back is on where the chair is, where the towel is.
Right.
There's a strong dark line in there, shadow in there.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna pause a bit. Okay, so now we're going to highlight the towel. I'm making enough in here, a combination of cerulean blue and a bit of yellow. And now what I'm going to do is more on the bluish side than the green. It's a very nice blue green. Now I'm going to take white, and it's going to be medium tone. So really like medium value. Don't go too light, not yet. If we go too light, we don't have room for highlights. Because you see in the reference, we have a medium tone right there, like a medium highlight right there. And then we have a strong one over here. So let's start with medium. Let's see if this is enough. Yep. It's going to dry darker. I'm going to make my color a tiny bit transparent, so more like a glaze. Now, I'm not really following exactly what's happening in there, like I'm going to go and try to highlight it by simplifying it too. The only thing I need to pay attention to is the movement of the fold. So your folds are not going in the same direction, all of them. glazing your color, making your color a bit transparent is really good for folds, because you're not putting a thick color over a thick paint over what you have underneath. So when it dries, when this colored paint dries, you will have a transparency. You can see the color underneath showing through, and that will allow you to highlight slowly layers of highlight, and to control your folds, to control the shape of the folds too. If I highlight too much and I need to go back and darken, I will do that. I'm just paying more attention right now to the shape I'm creating with this. Because once you start putting highlights, that's when you're going to see how it looks. And you know, like I mentioned before, I'm not trying to copy exactly the same thing I'm seeing. I'm just simplifying what I'm seeing. I pick the major ones that I see. I pick those and I add them. Any small ones that will not make a difference, I'll ignore them. Going from light to dark or from dark to light has to be done slowly in layers. It looks nicer and more natural. See, that's needs to be adjusted here, but I'll do that later. Okay, and even here too. All right, let's continue before my paint dries here. Adjust the value after. When it's completely dry, I'll go back because acrylics dries darker, so I have to wait and see. Okay. All right, so now I have these two. They're going in the same direction, these two. And they're kind of stopping at the same point. So I'm going to take a bit of ultramarine ultramarine violet and mix it with the main color. But more ultramarine violet. And I'm going to come here. And try to cancel this. Kind of even I don't have to cancel it completely, but kind of make it softer. Now, I take my smaller brush again, round brush, add more white. I'm going to go to medium tone and some glazing in here. And And I'm going to pick up a bit of more highlights in here. And it's going to dry darker again because this is glazed. So the darker color underneath is going to be showing through when it's dry. All right, so this is kind of coming to a point where it's looking highlighted. Now, I'm going to take more white and put it into that light color that I have here.
Oh, it looks really good, your towel.
That's because I'm adding highlights slowly from dark to medium to light.
That's good.
Play of color. Now, see how this is drying darker? This here. Now, this value here is matching the same value here. But when you look at the fabric, at the towel, you will see that this has a lot more light in it. So this is where I'm gonna pick up some more white, but I'm doing it slowly. You know, I'm doing it in a way that I'm not putting white right away when I see it, because I'm scared of white, really, because once you put white, it's very hard to go and fix that. When you put a strong white, you have to wait for it to dry, and then you have to go back and you have to put the right colors to cover it, and it's just too much work. So I use white carefully, because white will show the shape of whatever you are painting. It will, the shape will you will see it. There's no way. That's it. You're putting spotlight on it. Okay, now here, this part, it's turning down in. So this is dark and this is strong highlight. So in between, I should have a medium kind of value. Just to soften that and make it more realistic. Now that's much better. When I had the white, the strong white, and then the dark right next to it, it was a bit too much. Now I'm gonna come here and adjust a bit my value. So the white looks interesting and the fabric looks natural. Here, I need to go a little bit darker. So I'm bringing in ultramarine violet. And I like the idea of ultramarine violet for darks. It darken, like I said, these colors are light, like they're pastel colors. And if you want to darken your pastel colors, you want to use a color that is not going to make them look like they're muddy. Perfect. there are kind of certain little details in this painting that in these folds that are interesting. So now let's see. I have here a medium tone and then a very highlight, like a strong highlight, but this is flat. So I need to go in and bring some highlights, but medium value, not a very strong one. And I'm going to kind of add water, so glazed. Let's see. Yep, that's good. So the whole idea is to highlight slowly and glaze with fabric. Glaze your darks and lights and slowly add layers and layers. That's why it looks, it will look like real fabric. So I'm glazing now darks using ultramarine violet. I really don't have to do that, but just an added bonus in here. Okay. Okay. Again, a nice glaze. And sometimes, you know, when I'm highlighting, I look at the shape. I'm trying to get the same shape. So if I look at this highlight, the strong one, right here. If I look at it as a shape, it looks like this to me. It's like a triangle. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to follow that triangle. That's what makes it look interesting. This shape is like that right here. And here, it's another one like this. So if you look at it as shape, it's easier. You understand it more. For it to dry. Last layer, the really last layer now. White, more white into my seafoam. Top part only, top part over here only. I'm not gonna spread it more than that. And that's it. Now, last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take burnt sienna, ultramarine violet, and try to glaze her skin tone here, darker. So let's take burnt sienna, ultramarine violet. That's a good color. Glaze. Because I don't want to cover whatever I did, but I just want to make it darker. I want to see all of those kind of lights and darks I have. So let's see. Let's try from the face. Perfect. I still can see everything, but darker. That's awesome. Okay. When it's dry, I can see the highlights I have on her hand, the darks, the lights, but nothing is covered. It's because it's a glaze, but the skin tone is darker. That's all. But I can still see everything. Now, the only thing with that, to be careful, is not to go over it so many times, because glaze will, the paint will lift. Where else do I need to do that? Right here, where her, right here, in here. And in here. Again, back. I'll wait for it to dry. If I need to go back and add more, another layer of glazing, I'll do that. But it has to dry before I do that. Otherwise, the paint will lift again. I think I should be enough. I don't need to go back and add more. And I have a hint of purple in there, so it's perfect for a for shadow. Now, there's one thing I missed. I lost when I did that. There's a bit of highlight in here. Because originally the highlight was not strong. So when I glazed it, it disappeared. Okay. Perfect. Done. Right, so I taped, put masking tape where the pole is, the umbrella, the front one, and it's going to be burnt umber, first layer. I might have to put a bit of black in there, but I'm trying just to use burnt umber, nothing else. This is not the right brush. All the way up. I know when I remove the masking tape, I'm going to have to clean up around it because the sky and the sea and some details in here are not going to be 100%. Now, pick up some white. Because I don't want it to be too dark. And yellow ochre. So burnt umber, white and yellow ochre in here. Pick up some more white and yellow ochre. Put it in the same mixture. Clean my brush and highlight this part where the usually sun is hitting. Sun is coming from the left. So I'm just going to highlight the left part. And when I remove my, I know I'm going fast. It's better if if it's dry before I do this layer. I just want to show you that this part can be highlighted and it can be adjusted without the masking tape later on. There's a lot of cleaning up. So first I'm going to wash my brush and try to clean up all of the paint that I don't want in here. And then I will add on where I see orange right there. I'm going to clean this up later on with the same color. So if it's where the sea is and I need to cover the orange, I will do that, or the sky, or and it's just kind of small areas. So I don't need to be 100% match the color. So just if I put a bit of blue in there, just kind of touching up. Let's say, let's take cerulean blue. A small brush, touch up here, there. It takes a bit of work, but it can be done and it will look good. It doesn't have to be completely covered. Like if you see a bit of orange in there, like a tiny bit, that's fine. More white with my cerulean blue. Sky. cleaning up. Ultramarine violet, white. Touch of Payne's gray. Nice. It's working very well. No problems here. Bit of orange showing through again, but that's okay. I like that. I like those. I like this orange. I like to see this orange in there. Specks of orange. This is just cleaning up. Now, let's pick up some Payne's gray. I have to turn it around a bit so I could. Okay. What else do we have? Payne's gray here. Hmm. We're all so quiet.
We are working.
We're working. I'll do the rest later on. So I need to clean up this area. I need to clean up a bit down here and fix this background with the chairs. Okay, so I used cadmium red light, white, and ultramarine violet in it to tone it down and bring the value or the saturation to the same level of the actual towel. Now, I am using a round brush, and this is a color that is more or less not too thick. It is glaze, kind of, and I'm moving my brush or the fabric, the the movement with the movement of the fabric. So I'll explain in 1 minute. Again. So you'll see now more like a glaze, and I really need that glaze. I don't want it to be too light because I have to glaze it again now because this is way too white, too light. So, but I'm not concerned about this right now. I'm just trying to get some shape in here, and it's kind of going with the movement of the towel. The fabric is turning up here because this is up. So it's going to turn up here. Kind of, can you see the curve? And then higher. So it's going to be, the fabric is higher, the pattern is going to be higher. Again, load my brush, and I can see that the value is a bit too light, but that's okay because I'm using a glaze. It's drying kind of darker, so I'm okay. Now again, this part is a bit up. Might be too much. I'm gonna lower this. Okay, so the fold is, sorry, just 1 minute. It's better. Okay, I removed it. Now, this is the first layer. Now it could be wider. We could do the band wider, or we could go back and add a thinner one underneath. Now, you see this part here, the fabric. The towel is higher over here. The fold is higher. Just very tiny kind of, you can't see it because there's a bit of a highlight in here. So what I can do is take a touch of white, very small amount of white, mix it with the color that I'm using, and come here and highlight this tiny bit, just this part. And this part is not straight. Okay, again, this one, same, bit of white, and it's a glaze. And again, I'm gonna highlight this, only this. And it's curved up because that's the way the fold is, it's curved. It's gonna curve the pattern. Let's do the same down here. Now, this is not straight, but it's not a strong curve. So I'm going to take highlight again, and I'm just going to kind of highlight in randomly. And that makes it look like the fabric is actually not tight and straight. Okay, so now I'm gonna wait for it to dry a bit. And you can see, can you see how the highlight is creating that movement with the fabric? The highlight is kind of following the movement of the fabric, of the fold. So the highlight, if the fold is up, this pink color is going to be highlighted more. So I'm going to highlight it a little bit more, but I have to be very careful because it shouldn't be highlighted too much, because this is in a shadow area. Again. Again, a bit here, another one here, and another one here. So all of a sudden now, if I go back with my camera and you look at it, you'll see that the band is following the fold of the fabric of the towel, highlighted where the fold is up, and where the fold is down, it's darker. Now I can add more of the dark color. Let's say I can add here more of ultramarine violet. But if I highlight it the right way, I don't need to do that. It's enough. I'm just gonna adjust this little band down here, and if I cannot adjust it, I'm removing what I've done, and I'm gonna redo it. That's better.